See what this baby's got inside it.
Hey, what's up, guys? Brett from Hapticast Intro here.
Bark, bark, you.
Who suck you off, Bill?
Oh, Josh, I hear screaming.
Oh yeah!
Gone. The controller's gone.
Look at that. You look fucking fantastic.
Welcome to Haptic HQ.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Hapticast, episode number 79. My name is Josh Toll, and today I'm not joined by anybody. That's right, it's just me today. Brett, feeling a little bit of under the weather, so you were all stuck with just me for the day. But that's okay. We still have a good show ahead of you. Here's the thing. We didn't want to lose a week, and we don't know how long, Brett's going to be DNO, down and out. But we're doing it anyway. We'll do it live. It is what it is. So today maybe it'd be a little bit shorter. I don't know. We've done solo streams in the past, but never the actual podcast. But the point is that we didn't want to leave anybody hanging. So here we are. We still have a great show for everybody today. First of all, updates off the top. For those of you that are watching on YouTube specifically, and you want to jump around to different stuff, as always, we were going to have timestamps in the description once this is done being live. We record it live, we put it out on our audio platforms, and we leave it up on YouTube. Links are in the timestamps are in the description to jump around to wherever you want to go. So that's first and foremost. So you can find that there. Also, unscripted, our unscripted version of Hapticast, which we did record, Brett and I did record. That'll be going up Thursday as normal on all audio platforms, likely also with a little tease on our YouTube channel as well. It seems like people are enjoying those. Last week, we had special guest Morgan Freeman on. And today I'm going to be talking about something that he's probably not too happy about when I get to what I'm playing and my opinion there. So yeah, check that out. That'll be up on Thursday. Shout out to everybody who's listening on audio platforms as well. Also, YouTube, we have 590 something subscribers. We're real close to 600. So we need everybody to go on there and subscribe as well. And yeah, join us on our path here. So we appreciate everybody for that. And also, what is the update? Let me pull this up for everybody. So as everybody know, we were the 17th, number 17th ranked gaming podcast in the United Arab Emirates. But there has since been some additions to this. So let me pull it up here somewhere. Brett tweeted it. Here it is. So this is an update. First of all, we are the number one gaming podcast in Nepal. Okay, so we talked about that on Unscripted a little bit this week. But we're number one gaming podcast in Nepal, and also number 15. So moving up the charts in the United Arab Emirates. Why? I don't know, but we appreciate it nonetheless. So make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure you're, following us and rating us on whatever your audio platform of choice is. And yeah, everything's going pretty good. Merch, we have merch as always. Links in the description of that. hapticintel.com/merch. We are going to have some new stuff going up soon as Brett and I get ready to go out to California, which we've been talking about. Probably going to be doing, when we do go out to California, I think that we're going to not have a podcast that week. Maybe unscripted, maybe not. I don't know. But we'll be doing some light vlog type stuff. Maybe a couple other things while we're out there. So be on the lookout for that. And maybe be on the lookout for some Haptic Does California exclusive merch. All right, let's hop into a topic rundown. I'm going to have my media consumption update for everybody. Not a ton, but some good stuff in there nonetheless. Then the Abysmal Chronicles, we have upcoming video game releases that we're going to talk about. A couple of really big ones this coming week. Abysmal Chronicles have a couple of things in there. Astro's Playroom, devs talking about their next game. Amy Hennig stuff with a Marvel game. Take-Two doing a Lord of the Rings game. Another Saw movie in the works, apparently. And then our main topic for the day, obviously, is the talking about the future of PlayStation and PC. More news came out today from VGC, some more mining and some confirmation with some stuff in there in regards to the PlayStation Spider-Man, the PC release for that. Some more stuff coming out of there, so that'll be interesting. And then wrapping it up with Indie Intel, talking about a game from Liliamo Games called Super Perils of Baking, which is an interesting little title. So without further ado, let's hop into it with our media consumption update. First of all, movies. Okay, I have a couple of movies for you all. This is also, Brett and I watched both of these this past weekend. So first of all, we watched a movie called A Tale of Two Sisters, which is a Korean horror movie from the early 2000s that is really quite a good film. And I mentioned to Brett when we watched it, and even maybe our friend Steven, friend of the show Steven, that I think if I had watched it when it came out in the early 2000s, that I would have said it was maybe the best horror movie I've ever seen. It came out in 2003, directed by Kim Ji-woon, who is, of course, from I Saw the Devil fame. I Saw the Devil. He also did another movie called 3, which is pretty good. So, a really interesting movie. If you're into like The Conjuring or even Insidious or some of those like more kind of popcorny new age horror movies, I think you should go and watch this, because there's some stuff in here that clearly influenced the genre for the better, and some really, really strong performances, some really interesting twists and turns, and some super effective and well-earned jump scares, which I'm normally not a fan of, but in this movie executes them how they should be done. So I'd recommend checking that out. And then also watched a little film that's part of a sequence of a series of films, if you will, shorter series of films called Senritsu. Senritsu Files, The Slit-Mouthed Woman, which is the first one. I believe there's 5 or 6 of them, and these come from Koji Shirashi, who did Noroi the Curse and Occult, which are 2 awesome found footage horror movies, and of course A Record of Sweet Murder, which I have not watched yet, and Teki Teki, a bunch of other stuff I haven't watched for this. But really, really good, really, really awesome design of the monster, villain, whatever you want to call it. And it's, really, really quite good. So 2 really good horror movies there for anybody that is interested in them, and let's check them out. Games. Fallout 3. Been playing it on my Steam Deck constantly, incessantly. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. Revisiting it on the Steam Deck is good. I beat the main story, but I'm still playing it. Playing through all the DLC. And what I had forgotten is that once you beat the main story of it, it actually throws you right into the Brotherhood of Steel DLC, which is pretty interesting. And I also forgot just how awesome and insane the end of that game is. I mean, the entire thing is, but it also goes to show you, I don't think the golden path, if you will, in Fallout 3 is particularly long. It took me maybe 20 hours to get through, which is short, for modern standards, I guess, for like a deep RPG like this, and even Bethesda's works after it. But it's really focused and really good. And, I know Starfield is going to be a completely different beast when it comes out, and Western games now, especially Western RPGs, are just getting so long in the tooth, and that's fine, and I enjoy a long game, but I think Fallout 3 made me appreciate how short and focused, something could be. So, shout out to Bethesda. Really enjoyed playing through that again on Steam Deck too. Runs really well. Had a few issues with it crashing and stuff. It's not verified, but it runs and is pretty good. A couple of crashes here and there, but if you're saving as incessantly as I am, it's not really a big deal. I think I have like over 300 save states right now, so pretty cool. Good game. Have enjoyed thoroughly revisiting it. So that's cool. And then the other game, which, if our friend Morgan Freeman hears me, won't be too happy about, is that I played House Party, and I do not like it. So, Brett would also be upset with me. But for those of you that listened to Unscripted last week, you know that House Party is one of Morgan Freeman's favorite games. And unfortunately, it just didn't strike me that much. Now, I want to talk more about that game with Brett. But I think for now, I'll just hold it at the fact that I didn't like it. I played it for maybe 45 minutes. I think on Steam Deck, too, it's kind of hard to play. The text is very small. And it does have an option to enlarge the text, but there's a lot of text. Like a lot of text. And if you make it too big, then it kind of goes off the screen. So I'd be interested to hear if he had the same issues as me or not. But I didn't love it. It is what it is. So whatever. And then lastly, TV and anime. No anime. I finished Attack on Titan last week, but you all know that already. And the only new TV I watched is Better Call Saul, which was the series finale yesterday. And I must say that that show is pretty incredible. The ending was perfect, in my opinion, again, just like Breaking Bad. The fact that that team, Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould and all of them, were able to execute such, not even good, not even great, but impeccable dramas back to back is truly a marvel. And they are two of the best television shows of all time. I think one is just as good as the other, and I think they're both great for different reasons, but they are executed with such command of their craft, and it's truly something to behold. So Better Call Saul, incredible, perfect ending to the series. I don't know what else to say. Kevin Hall in the chat, what's up? K Hall says Vince Gilligan really knows how to make a great ending. He really does. He, the what makes it so good is that, like Breaking Bad, right? This show could have ended in absolute bananas, bloodshed. It could have ended with a similar kind of get out of jail free card fate for the protagonist, but it doesn't. In fact, it does the inverse of, for everything that made Breaking Bad great and Breaking Bad's ending great, Better Call Saul does the inverse of those things and is what makes the ending, of Better Call Saul so great. Excuse me. So, props to Vince Gilligan and his team. God, I have something in my throat. Truly a feat to behold. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and roll the intro to Hapticast, this solo episode of Hapticast. Here we go. All right. Those of you that have been with us for a long time, you know that we start every episode of Hapticast with something called the Abysmal Chronicles. The Abysmal Chronicles is a chronicle of stories, Abysmal Chronicle of stories, as the name would suggest, of stuff that was maybe just not quite meaty enough to be in the main podcast, or, that time didn't permit. And there's always at the beginning of the Abysmal Chronicles, we're going to start with the upcoming video game releases. Now, I mentioned at the top of the show, there's a good amount this week, but there's some really, really big ones in here and stuff that I'm particularly excited for. So let's go through. First of all is Blossom Tales 2, the Minotaur Prince, which is coming out to PC and Switch on August 16th, which is today. Rollerdrome is out today on PC, PS5, and PS4. A lot of positive buzz and excitement around this game, including myself. And this is one that I really want to play. And I'm interested in. When we first saw it, it was kind of intriguing. I think it's from Annapurna Interactive. I think it is. I'm not going to even Google it. I think it is. I might be wrong on that. But I'm excited about this game. I think it looks pretty interesting and intriguing. I'm going to check it out. I think... No. I wanted to say, I thought this might be coming to the PlayStation Plus premium or extra tiers or something. I think I'm wrong on that. I think I'm thinking about actual Coffee Talk for Xbox Game Pass, which is completely separate. Anyway, so Rollerdrome, that comes out today. Tribes of Midgar also comes out today for Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and Switch. Way of the Hunter is also out today on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Then tomorrow you have a game called Catizens coming out for PC. On August 18th, you have Cursed to Golf. Cursed to Golf. Coming out on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. RPG Time, The Legend of Wright, comes out for Nintendo Switch on August 18th. Madden, the new Madden. Go Madden. Madden 23 comes out on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, and Xbox One on August 19th. Now, this next game, which I can't even believe... I'm pretty sure that this game has existed in the past, but they're making another one. I don't even know if this franchise is still relevant, or if you should even call it a franchise. But Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Comes out on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PS4, and Nintendo Switch on August 23rd. Okay. Midnight Fight Express. This is another game that I'm interested in. It comes out for PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Wow. That's not on PS5. Well, I mean, it'll play on PS5, but there's no next-gen versions of that. Comes out on August 23rd and is going to be launching on Game Pass, which is cool. And then, of course, the big one, the biggest one in the next couple weeks is Saints Row, which comes out for PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One on August 23rd. I think I'm on board with that game. I wasn't initially, but from the stuff I'm seeing, the gameplay and the trailers, I think it looks pretty good, and I'm excited for it. And all I need from Saints Row is just a more ridiculous GTA, and if that's what we get, then I'll be happy. So... all right, let's hop right into the stories now, shall we? First of all, Astro's Playroom developer says that their next game is going to be its quote-unquote biggest to date. This is coming from VGC. In a new interview with GameIndustry.biz, Team Asobi, creative studio and director Nicholas Dockett, Nicky D, briefly spoke about the future of the studio and its growing team. He said, quote, "We have a current production and that's going fine, but we want to have another group for R&D, and we want enough in this group to explore as many areas that are interesting and to potentially start other projects. We always have this extra team on the side, probably like 90% of the studio is in production, but there is this small pocket of people in the background that are already touching the technologies of tomorrow, or are trying things with technologies we have today, but taking them in a new direction. In order to keep this freshness, this R&D team needs to be rotated quite often. People go into production, and then after that, maybe go into the R&D for some time." End quote. So all this means, I mean, this is actually not maybe the biggest piece of news. I think a lot of, at least well-oiled and established studios will always have, teams or people or sections of their teams exploring and thinking about what's next, right? Because you might be on a project for 3, 4, 5 years, but, you might need to look at something else for the future, or you need to know what's next, or sometimes before you're done a project, you're looking at developing the next project. So that's all that this means. But I think too, what I want to remind people about, this Team Asobi, the Astro's Playroom developer, Team Asobi, is that they were part of Japan Studio, and Japan Studio is now defunct and closed down from PlayStation, which is pretty sad. And this is kind of the last remnants. And this is looking back at a quote from PlayStation saying, Japan Studio will be recentered to Team Asobi, the creative team behind Astro's Playroom, allowing the team to focus on a single vision and build on the popularity of Astro's Playroom. Now, that might seem a little off from this story. What do they mean by single vision? They could be singly visioned. They could have a single vision but be working on multiple projects at once. I think that's totally viable and appropriate. It could mean that. Or it could mean that maybe, PlayStation internally kind of had a change of the guard, change of heart, change of thought process of what I think Team Asobi does so well is to really leverage the tech of PlayStation, the interesting tech, whether that is VR, the DualSense, cameras, whatever it might be. Asobi has kind of been at the forefront of showing, here is what you can do with this technology, and making it really interesting and intriguing and, I think compelling to use and showcase for even developers, of being like, hey, this is what you can accomplish with this stuff on the PlayStation platform. So interesting nonetheless. I will be excited to see what they produce. I still wish Japan Studio was fully a thing, but it's not, and that's okay. But nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see what we get from Team Asobi next. Oh, what happened there? Okay. Next story. Those of you that are on the audio only are not going to see what's going on here, but that's okay. Okay. So, Amy Hennig's Marvel game will be shown in September at D23. D23 Expo is Disney's, big kind of showcase event. This is also coming from VGC. The event, which will be hosted by Kinda Funny's Blessing, I don't know how to pronounce Blessing's last name, but will be hosted by Kinda Funny's Blessing Jr., will take place live from the D23 Expo on Friday, September 9th at 1 p.m. Pacific time for everybody to behold. So, the showcase will include content from Disney and Pixar games, Marvel games, Lucasfilm games, and 20th Century Fox games. Or 20th Century games, sorry. No longer Fox. And that's in addition to, quote-unquote, all new announcements fans can expect. Wait, that's in addition to, quote, all new announcements fans can expect new reveals from titles including Disney's Dreamlight Valley, Marvel's Midnight Suns, Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and a sneak peek at the upcoming Marvel Ensemble game from Skydance New Media, end quote. That was from Disney's press release. Now that's where Amy Hennig comes in. So the Marvel game, like I just mentioned, is being helmed by Amy Hennig, which we will all know her popularly, as she was formerly at Naughty Dog, and she was the creative director, and one of the main forces behind the Uncharted series. And, notably, since then, Amy Hennig has not released a game. She was working on multiple Star Wars projects that got canned. Stuff that we saw trailers for that never got off the ground for one reason or another, which is so, bewildering to me. I think Amy Hennig is a really good writer, and I think she is a great creative visionary in her own way. But I am apprehensive to, this is going to make me sound like an ass, but I'm apprehensive to care about anything that she does anymore. I mean, it's been, oh my God, a long time. When was the last time? I think Uncharted 2? Uncharted 2? Was it the last game that Amy Hennig released? Let's see. What was the last game Amy Hennig released? Um, so yeah, the last game that she released was in 2011. She was the creative director and writer for Uncharted 3. Now, I'll be fair, she was a story consultant on Uncharted Golden Abyss, which was in 2011, and she also wrote Battlefield Hardline, which was in 2015, and she is a writer, one of the writers on Forspoken, which is going to be coming out this year, or next year, sorry, from Square Enix. But she hasn't directed a game since 2011, and I forget if she's just writing or she's serving as a creative director for this game or not, because I know also that Stashwick guy who worked with her on the Project Ragtag, which is the canceled Star Wars game right before this, for 2 years when they were at Visceral. But I don't know, I guess, her full involvement with this game. I forget, and I don't really feel like looking it up anymore, and I don't even know if there's enough details for it, but I vaguely remember it sounding like she was just going to be serving as a writer and producer on it. I don't know if she's directing it or not, I forget. But anyway, the last game that she's really been fully involved with that released was Uncharted 3 in 2011. Dude, it's been more than a decade. It's been more than a decade. Games are, I mean, and she's been working in the industry, don't get me wrong, and she's had a unfortunate string of coincidences or whatever they might be, but, you know, to not have released something in 13 years, 14, 15 years by the time this comes out, I mean, that's, I don't know, man. That's a long time, and I find it hard. I find it hard to find the will to care about it, which again I know makes me probably sound like an ass, but I don't know. Maybe I'm in that alone. Maybe I'm not. Let me know. I don't know. Jump into the comments or, you know, reach out to me on Twitter and let me know that I'm being an ass. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Also, one thing I wanted to touch on real quick while we're on the topic of Disney and Marvel. Disney has a lot of games in the works right now. And I mean a lot between Disney and Marvel and other IPs that they own. Let's just go through a couple of them. So first of all, we know that these are things that are in development actively that have been announced. Jedi Survivor, right? Another Star Wars Respawn FPS. Star Wars Eclipse, Ubisoft and Massive's Star Wars game, Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, Marvel's Midnight Suns, Skydance's Marvel game, Black Panther, which is still a rumor, Avatar, and Indiana Jones. I mean, that's a lot of fucking games to be working on right now. I mean, a lot. So whether or not all these come to fruition or not, I don't know, but I find myself finding it hard to be excited for anything involving Amy Hennig. So that's just me. All right, a couple more stories before we get to our main topic for the night, which is, of course, talking about PlayStation's future on PC. But we're going to be getting there soon. I don't know what's going on here with this. Okay, so Take-Two is making a Middle-earth game with Weta Workshop. Okay, this is coming via The Verge. A new tweet posted by Private Division's official Twitter account announced that the publisher is teaming up with Weta Workshop, the special effects company synonymous with recent Middle-earth movies and shows. Weta has done a lot of stuff. If you know movies, you know Weta. They do a lot of really, 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 really good work. Industry, defining work. So the game, which is in early development, is expected to be released during Take-Two's fiscal year of 2024, so it's still a little bit off. Weta Workshop is the New Zealand company that created the special effects and props for all three of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies and the 3 Hobbit movies. And also, I think they did the 2005 King Kong reboot on top of a bunch of other stuff. Willow, and the list goes on and on. So, according to the announcement, the upcoming game will be developed by Weta itself, which established its own game studio in 2014, which I didn't even fucking know. I missed that. Private Division is part of Take-Two, and they focus more on the indie side of stuff, which is why this is kind of interesting. So it might be maybe smaller in scope and scale and budget than maybe people are initially thinking. Like, this is not like the Golem game that's about to come out, or I don't even know what's going on with that. And anyway, since its inception in 2017, Private Division specifically published The Outer Worlds, Ali Ali World, and Roller Drome, which we talked about at the top of the show, which comes out today. Now, I am a big fan of Lord of the Rings. Okay, and I think the Shadow of War games, the Middle-earth Shadow of War games, all those were really, 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 really cool. The Nemesis system is, like, in my opinion, groundbreaking game design. But I'm going to reserve any kind of hype or judgment or whatever for this game. I don't know. I don't even know. Has Weta produced anything? I don't know. Game Studio was established in 2014, based in Wellington, New Zealand. We're passionate about making incredible games. This is their website. Do they have any actual games that they've done, though? We make cool games. I don't see anything. I mean, now what has done incredible, excuse me, prop stuff and all that, whatever. But, yeah, I don't think they've actually developed any games. So, but, I mean, they're right in that wheelhouse, so who knows, man. We'll see. I wish them the best of luck. I hope it's good. I hope it's interesting. Private Division has done some really good work. So, yeah, we'll see. All right. To round out the Abysmal Chronicles before we hop in talking about PlayStation, a new Saw movie is coming in 2023. It's coming via GameSpot, although not just who I took this copy from. I could just tell you my opinion about this, and it's not going to be positive. So a new entry in the Saw franchise is officially a go. According to a release from Lionsgate and Twisted Pictures, the companies jointly announced that the next untitled Saw film, a sequel to 2021's Spiral, is now slated for release on October 27th, 2023. The next film in the franchise will be directed by Kevin Gruter, who, you know, I'm a very big Saw fan. Okay, and I can tell you that he is, he's pretty good. He's done one, in my opinion, really good Saw movie, being Saw 6, and one not so great Saw movie being the final chapter, although I enjoy the very, 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 very end, the third act of final chapter. But more importantly, he understands the franchise because he was the editor on the original Saw, so Saw 1 through 5. Okay, now, I am a Saw buff. I love the Saw franchise for its ups and its downs. But Saw is like, you need somebody that understands what it is, right? Which is going beyond the gore and the blood and the actual body, you know, torture, porn, horror crap, right? Somebody that can go beyond that and understands the legacy of the franchise, the interplay of the narrative, and how, you know, that has to build on itself. Anyway, commenting on the announcement, Saw franchise's producers Mark Berg and Oren Cools said, quote, "We have been listening to what the fans have been asking for and are hard at work planning a movie that Saw aficionados and horror fans alike will love." Okay, and part of that is giving the reins to Kevin Gruter, director of Saw 6, which is one of the fans' favorites in the entire series. End quote. That is accurate. The Saw series has a long and complicated backstory, obviously. But, first of all, if you like horror and you've never given Saw a chance, give it a chance. If you don't like horror and you can handle gore, give Saw a chance. Because there's some really interesting storytelling in it. There's some really fantastic twists and turns and really good writing and awesome characters and very beautiful, honestly, filmmaking sequences. Now, unfortunately, Spiral was none of those things. And Spiral was not received that well, from what I remember from fans. I didn't love it. I thought it was... I think it might have been the weakest. I forget. It's because it's been a little while. I forget if I liked it more than Final Chapter or not. But I would say probably not. It tried to do a lot, right? It tried to pay homage to the previous franchise, or the franchise as a whole. Tried to introduce new characters. It also kind of almost tried to like soft reboot and propel us in another direction. And the end of that movie definitely sets up something there, but I don't know if I want to see it. So we'll see, but I don't really think so. But nonetheless, I suppose we'll see. We'll see in due time. I'll watch it regardless, so. Okay. For those of you that don't know, Hapticast is sponsored by Dubby Energy. Dubby was formulated to give you focus and energy with no jitters or crashes. Their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and nootropics, including the patented neurofactor. No calories, no sugar, no artificial flavors, no fillers, none of the bad stuff. I'm actually currently drinking it, like I just showed you. I'm drinking it in here. I'm drinking Galaxy Grenade. It's my favorite flavor. Brett's favorite flavor is Dub Sludge. And, your current energy drink, if you drink them, which a lot of people do, may cost you anywhere from $2 to $3 per can. Dubby costs just $1 per shaker bottle, per drink, per serving, whatever you want to call it. So, if you find it hard to work or study, use code SLICK to save on Dubby. That's right. Our code is SLICK. Use it to save 10% on your order at dubby.gg at checkout. Code SLICK. Dubby.gg. Check it out. Yes, frankly, I'm holding it down in the chat. Brett has the suds, fortunately. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, those of you that don't, that is a SpongeBob meme. It's a great episode. And this is actually, Brett just sent me this. This is a live picture of Brett. Sorry, audio listeners, but this is a live picture of Brett right now. So, yeah, he has the suds. But, yeah, so we're holding it down. And, we wish Brett the best. Hope he gets better. But without further ado, it is time to hop into our main topic of the day. Okay, there we go. That was weird. Streamlabs wasn't participating with me. Anyway, so I think you all can hear me now. Our main topic of the day. What is PlayStation's future? And is it going to be reliant on PC? Now, this is something that we've been talking about just because it's kind of been at the forefront, and something that Brett and I have talked about in the past, where, we think that PlayStation focusing on PC as a means of building out, their brand is a good thing, especially for people that like PlayStation's first-party games like we do. Likes of God of War and Horizon and Days Gone, although we'll probably never get a sequel to that and all that. So let me give you some context, and then we'll talk about it in the larger, as a larger whole. But basically, PSN PC account linking and PSN integration for PC could be coming. So references to a PlayStation PC launcher have been found within the files of Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, which launched on PC last week, which is PlayStation's 6th game, I think, that they released, suggesting that such a platform could be in Sony's future plans. Now, this has all been verified by VGC and their sources through data mining within the game files of Spider-Man. So while neither Marvel Spider-Man nor any other PlayStation Studios PC game currently allows connectivity with PSN accounts, Spider-Man's files contain multiple references to quote-unquote PSN account linked and quote-unquote PSN linking entitlements. Thus far, all of Sony's PC games have been released on Steam and the Epic Game Store, while PlayStation has a PlayStation PC brand, which I think they were going to call it something... I forget. It was a bad name. But anyway, PlayStation... where was I? While PlayStation has a PlayStation PC brand, it is generally used as a collective term for all PC re-releases, rather than having their own launcher themselves, right? Same way that Xbox has their own launcher and their app, but they also, release their stuff on Steam. I think actually they just release their stuff on Steam. So it's possible that these references could suggest maybe... its own unique version of the PlayStation Store maybe could come to the PC. This, coupled with the references to account integration, could eventually lead to cross-purchasing for titles on PS5 and PC, obviously. Now, it's unlikely that PlayStation would keep its games exclusive to this launcher if they do release one for PC. And we just talked about maybe why, because Microsoft has their own launcher, but still releases their games on Steam. And then there's other examples, I guess, with that, for or against, whatever you want to call it. Rockstar has a reduced kind of version of their launcher that is required. Even if you get the game through Steam, you have to I think it has to basically do like a DRM check or something like that through Steam or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. So how important is this? First of all, I don't think we need another launcher for PC. I think we have enough. I think I understand the launcher, and there are cases which I'd be okay with it. Although personally, I'm still probably going to play PlayStation games on my PS5. But I think there's situations where it's not needed. I mean, there's already a lot of launchers for PC. Steam and Epic being the two most ubiquitous, if you will, popular, easy to use, whatever you want to call it, most widely used, whatever. And I think we've seen the space flooded with other launchers that we don't need, that have been defunct. EA's stuff, which maybe, I don't even know if that's still used. Ubisoft's thing, there's been a lot. So I don't think we necessarily need another launcher. That being said, what I do want is trophy support. So whether there is some sort of bespoke version, as VGC suggests, of the PlayStation Network, where that becomes possible, whether you can link your PlayStation account on a per game basis and get trophies that way, or if they really do end up having a launcher that you need to get trophies, or connect with your larger PSN account, I think that's okay. But I don't really want an entire other launcher. So I'll be interested in what you guys think about that. Let me know. Let us know. But I also think that in general, PlayStation, the sentiment that PlayStation is not going to have a PC presence is ill-founded. I think PlayStation's PC focus is here to stay. They're seeing it be super profitable. Obviously, I mean, it's just a way, as we talked about in the past, for them to make more money on games that they've kind of already wrung dry, if you will, on their own platforms. And I think in the grand scheme of things, it's a good thing, especially if you like PlayStation first party games, because those games are expensive to make, and game development is not getting cheaper, and the level that their games are on is not getting cheaper, and they're taking longer. And if games continue to cost $100-300 million plus to make, and that is just going to get more expensive, well, you're going to need to pad out those costs in other areas. And that is going to mean, probably moving to, new revenue streams like on PC. So I think PlayStation's continued investment in the PC platform is only good for the brand and good for the games the brand produces. So that's what I think. Let me know what you think. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Indie Intel. This week, we are talking about a game called Super Perils of Baking. Now, what is Indie Intel? You might be asking. Well, Indie Intel is a segment that we do here to give notoriety to indie games that maybe need it, maybe have fallen under the radar, by the wayside. Stuff that needs, maybe a little highlighting. We will. We want to support it. Want to help it out. This week we're talking about Super Perils of Baking. Now, Super Perils of Baking is a remake of Perils of Baking, which is the developer's first game. This is made by Lily Mo Games. So I'm going to read you something from the developer's blog here, which was written by Colin Moriarty, who is now a writer for the game, but what's going on here? Is now a writer for the studio, but I don't think was involved with the original release of this game, if I'm not mistaken, which I don't think I am. But yeah, let me read you something from the developer's blog here. Let's pause this. Let's just pull up a little screenshot, if you will. Quote, Super Perils of Baking is a 16-bit inspired side-scroller that we write at home on the likes of Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. It's a ready ode to Super Mario World and that early to mid-90s era of 2D platformer goodness. It's all about two brothers who are raised within a great culinary tradition, bestowed from one generation to the next. Excuse me. But when they go off to baking school, one succumbs to the power of a mystical hat that brings his baked creations to life, leaving the other to battle his brother in a desperate struggle across the land. End quote. As I mentioned, Super Perils of Baking is a ground-up remake of Lily Mo Games' first title, which is 2018's 2D platformer Perils of Baking. In Super Perils of Baking, players take control, like I said, a talented student baker who has but one goal in mind, stopping his brother, enchanted by a cursed baking hat garnered from their school's basement from wreaking havoc throughout the land. So, I've played a little bit of this, and while I will tell you right now that it is not my cup of tea. First of all, I'm garbage at platformers. It's just not my style of game. I'm just really bad at platformers. I have really bad spatial issues with 2D platformers specifically. But I've played it on my Steam Deck, which runs great on the Steam Deck, by the way. The game is not for me, but I think it is for a lot of people, and I think it's really special, and I think the soundtrack is great. I think the writing is great. So it's written entirely, it's like a storybook, kind of. So actually, let me see. It's written entirely in verse with a storybook-like presentation. Super Perils of Baking spans 50 core levels and has plenty of secrets. With concise 2D platforming, that's true, the controls are really tight from what I played. Balanced difficulty, it is difficult, but not insurmountable. Beautiful pixel art, which is accurate. Not only beautiful pixel art, but beautifully animated pixel art. Has a great soundtrack. Has lots of playable characters. And, like they say in the write-up here, it's for audiences young and old. And it's really good, I think, for adults to play with children, which they also note in here. Especially if maybe you're trying to, I don't know, expose your kids to different types of games. This is maybe a good kind of foot in the door for a 2D platformer that is modern but accessible, yet very much an ode to some of the earliest video games that we had. There's also a meta game with trophies and achievements in this too, which I think they have a right. They do. So whether on foot, hurling in a minecart, swimming underwater, holding onto a balloon, or altering gravity, and quite literally turning things upside down, Super Perils of Baking is a food fight for everyone. And true bakers will find New Game Plus, trophies, and achievements, and tons of collectibles to keep them busy. Post-adventure too. And there's a meta game, like the trophies and the achievements are part of the storytelling, which is really unique, and actually don't want to spoil that, so just be mindful of that if you play it. Okay, so this is available for $10 on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X, S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, which is where I have it. And again, it is on Steam Deck, runs great on Steam Deck, and is officially Steam Deck verified. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. Again, it's from Lilimo Games, which Colin Moriarty of Last Day Media is part of. I think this is a really, really wonderful little game. Again, even though it's not for me, I think a lot of people will like it. And the enemies, and how you collect stuff associated with the enemies is really interesting and really cool and exceedingly creative. So I'll leave it at that. It's $10. Check it out. Support the game. Link will be in the description. Super Perils of Baking. Check it out. All right. Well, that's it. That's the end of episode 79. I hope everybody enjoyed this solo adventure today. Less, maybe, thank you, frankly, less conversations with other people focused, but I hope you enjoyed listening to my voice for almost an hour or so. Make sure that if you like what you heard or saw or watched, you give us a subscription. You like it, you hop in the comments below, let us know your thoughts. Respond to some of the things that I asked you about today. Share it with your friends, follow us, and subscribe to us on everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, also audio platforms, around the world: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Amazon Podcast, I don't know, wherever you get that stuff. Make sure you like us, you follow us, you subscribe to us, you do whatever, you rate us on there, you share it around, you give us the love. We're almost at, like I mentioned at the top of the show, 600 subscribers on YouTube. We are at, I'll give you the exact number right now, 594. So we're 6 away. So we're almost there. And then that's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from 1,000, and then 1,000,000, and so on from there. So please do that. We really appreciate everybody. I wish Brett the best, and I hope he feels better. I'm giving you ASMR tingles right now. I'm not even trying to. I'm just not. I don't know. Shout out to Morgan Freeman, friend of the show. We love you all. We appreciate you all. I'll be on the lookout on Thursday for Hapticast Unscripted as well. And yeah, until next time, next week, episode 80. Big one. Big 80. But until then, we love you all. We appreciate you. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.